Hi, this is Robert Cavuto, Metal Rules, and today we're speaking with Michael Romeo to talk about his new CD, War of the Worlds Part 2. Welcome, and thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, man, no worries, and thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great. I think we're neighbors. I live in Jersey too, Central
Oh
Jersey.
yeah, where you at?
Yeah. Bridgewater.
Okay, I'm in Hazlet.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
close,
close.
kind of close.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
we go down there all the time for the beach and stuff, so it's great.
Oh,
Well, I love the CD. It's a wild, ambitious, cinematic masterpiece.
no,
Tell
thank
me,
you.
how long you've been working on this?
Well, actually, the part two, like most of it was done. Back in, I guess, like 2017,
Oh,
2017 or 18, when I started working on the whole thing. It's like, okay, the band had some downtime, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll just do a solo thing and just try some different ideas and just do my thing. And I started writing a bunch of stuff, and I knew I wanted it to be cinematic and a lot of guitar stuff, but some of this orchestral thing, and be a heavy and a little progressive, a little bit of everything. And I just started writing, and usually, like, once I start, it's hard to stop, So I'm just writing, writing, writing. A couple months go by, I'm like, all right, let me see what I have. And of course, there's like a shit ton of stuff, and it's like, okay. I'm like, okay, this is too much for one thing. So, right at the beginning, I said, okay, I'll take this first half of songs, and this will be part one. I'll concentrate it, and I'll concentrate on that, and then I'll put these other ones aside. Sometime in the future, kind of come back to it and finish it. So 90% probably it was mostly done. A lot of it, the drums were tracked, and the guitars and bass. Most of
wow.
it was there. Even like some of the keys and some of the orchestral stuff, it was you know good sketches there that, yeah, they needed to be refined, and I needed to spend a little time on it. So, and then we get into um 2020. The band, we just, we're back in 2019. We did some touring. It's like, okay, everything's cool with the band, and we're all good. We had tour lined up in 2020, I think April. So in the beginning of that year, I said, okay, you know what? I have a couple months here before we really start hitting the road. Maybe I'll go revisit this part two and get it done. So then everything went off the rails, and schedules and tours were canceled and everything. But again, most of it was done. So it was really just going in, and actually it was a little shorter than I thought. So there was a couple things I had to put together,
Right.
but not much, and relatively quickly came together. I mean, the record has been done for about a year.
Well,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
flow really nice back to back, the two, part one and part two. Was there anything you wanted to do a little different, maybe in part two than you had done in part one? Now that you had all that extra time.
Um, yeah. I mean, the one thing that I did that was different, um, because, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there's going to be some similarities with the band. I mean, it's my kind of riffs, and there's going to be
Right.
that thing. But again, I wanted the orchestral stuff to be even more, and all guitar stuff. So, and even some electronic stuff, or some sound design, just different things. Just being creative, and being goofy in here.
You have a
So,
great room back there.
yeah, this is like the hangout place down here.
That's cool.
But yeah, the one of the songs that I had pieces of that wasn't finished, and I was like, okay, I need a couple more songs. Was this song "Destroyer"? And I had the riff, and it was on a six string, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, wow, man, it's like, it's got that Middle Eastern thing. It's kind of a mean riff. I'm like, wow,
Mhm.
this would be cool, maybe detuned or something. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just detune some guitars, and I'm like, oh man, that's a nightmare recording, and all that. So I was like, oh, maybe a seven string, because I'm not a seven string guy.
Mhm.
I never really played seven string. So, like, that was the one thing. It's like, okay, well, that's different. So then some of those songs, those few that I had to put together, like Destroyer is a perfect example, because it was all seven string. And definitely that riff now was meaner than it was, and it's a little darker down there. So
That's
yeah,
an
that was
awesome
a
song.
different thing. Yeah, and
That's
again
an
too,
awesome.
in that one, another different thing is just trying to find different instruments to kind of throw in for textures. And on that one, having that Middle Eastern vibe. It's like, oh man, it would be cool to have some of those instruments in there, a little bit of that flavor, that Middle Eastern thing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I could have reached for a synth or some kind of virtual instrument, a saz or a sitar or something like. And I'm like, you
Mhm.
know, I'm like, I got a little time. It's like maybe I'll just buy some and try to learn a little bit, at least enough to do it. So it was like, okay, so I did that, you know, and
That's
there's a
cool.
couple of these wacky instruments laying around.
It's funny how one thing smiles and it affects all these other things in life,
Mm,
and in your song too, you know?
yeah.
My wife has a saying, you know, as soon as we paint a room, oh, now I need new,
Yeah.
I need a new bedspread, and I need this, and I need that. And this looks terrible. We can't have the curtains and the
Yeah.
shades. And and it's the
Yep.
same with you and playing. It's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, because there was some time there, and it was like, okay, and I'm always thinking like, what can I do to make it different? And you know, it's like, yeah, I'll just try some different things, and but yeah, I mean, and then I got all these goofy instruments showing up in the house. I mean, my wife's awesome, man. She knows my deal, but she
Yeah.
just must be like thinking like when these things show up, and then it's like, what the hell is he doing? You know, it's like, are you gonna use that? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna use it. So now that I had to use it at that point, I had to like
Right.
learn.
I bought it. I got to use it.
Yeah, I got it. You know, what am I gonna do? I can't send it back. You know,
You also changed up singers. You have Dino, and I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Jasek?
Jalusic, Jalusic.
He's a powerhouse, man. He did
Yeah,
a tremendous job on all of your songs. He knows how to really deliver a song.
no,
I know. How did you find him?
he's great, man. I mean, for part two, I mean, I was thinking it's like, yeah, I maybe was gonna try something different with singer, and I maybe look for someone else, or maybe try to. Uh, I remember one point thinking it's like, okay, maybe I'll just have a bunch of singers and different songs, and someone on this song and someone on that song, and that kind of thing. I was like, ah, man, that's maybe not the right thing for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I was, you know, and then I was thinking, I was like thinking, you know, who do I know? What other I know? A lot of guys, a lot of singers, and then I was talking to Simone Molaroni, and he's, you know, in Italy, and he's always helping me with the recording and the mixing and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, just call my buddy Dino. He would love to do it." And I was a little familiar with Dino, you know, I knew about him, and him and Dino, I guess, are really good friends. So he's like, you know, put us in touch. And Dino's like, "Yeah, dude, I'd love to do it, man. It'd be great." So, you know, sending him some of the tracks, and he's sending back some vocals. It's like, "Oh, dude, this is perfect, perfect. You know, great."
It seemed like it was made for him. The songs.
Mm.
Does he have
Yeah, I
that
mean,
high power? Does he have that powerful voice just when you're speaking with him? I was just kind of. I've never met him or interviewed him. I was just. What's his
no,
voice
he's
like?
just like a normal guy, man. He just, you know, it's like us. He's just a dude, you know. So,
And it just comes
but I,
out.
but I do remember he said, because I mean, I think he could sing a lot of different things. I do remember him saying that he wanted to sing a little heavier with
Mhm.
this kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, you know, do what you want, you know, do your thing. Just take what I have and then put your own
Yeah.
thing into it and elevate it more.
He's singing for
So,
Whitesnake too, right? He's the live, because the
um,
voice that was coming out of him doesn't gel with, like, in my mind, Whitesnake. So he must have many different voices that he could, and
no, that's what I'm
flavors that he could
saying.
add.
Yeah, no, he's totally versatile, totally versatile. He's just
Wow.
got that natural thing. So yeah, maybe on some of that stuff, you know, he's a little cleaner, maybe a little bluesier, maybe,
Mhm.
you know, whatever, you know, whatever it requires. And then for this thing, it's like, yeah, I mean, this is definitely heavier and
Yeah.
um,
Powerful.
big riffs and stuff. So, and I remember him saying, it's like, oh, you know, I like to go even more, you know, gritty, a little more aggressive. I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
And
I'm
you
not
have
going to argue
J.
about that.
No, that's great. You have JD from Black Label playing bass.
Mm,
He seems like such a nice guy, and
dude,
Zach
he's the
Wild
best.
beats him up pretty good. I hope you didn't beat him up. He seems like a decent
No,
guy.
I know, man. He's great, man. I mean, and he's like, yeah, he's like 5 minutes down. I was over his house the other day. You know, he's trying to put a studio together, and you know, he's doing his thing. And but he's great. I mean, he's
He's a
such an
very,
amazing bass player. He's so
yes.
good, and he's just again like us. He's just a dude, man. It's all jokes and you know Jersey jokes and you know, all that kind of East Coast humor.
That's great. He seems like a nice guy. I've never interviewed him.
Oh, he's
Um,
great, man. He's great.
what I loved about the instrumental songs, they go far beyond showcasing your talent as a guitarist and more or less like a composer, because they're these epic compositions that move the story along and also help paint the picture of the story in your mind. Tell me a little about the two that I really loved was Mothership and Hunted. The creation of those and the importance of those, where you put them to the storyline.
Oh, I mean, you just kind of said everything, like with painting the picture. I mean, that's always the thing, and that's why, you know, if I'm going to do something, you know, the band is doing a thing, or if I'm doing a solo thing, trying to find what that idea will be for the record, you know. If it's Paradise Lost, it's like, yeah, the visual of some of this stuff, or if it's the Odyssey, it's, you know, you're thinking of that stuff. And for this, you know, War of the Worlds, it's like, okay, I'm thinking like, you know, space and things that are alien and that kind of thing. So with those pieces, yeah, I mean, I wanted to have some stuff to kind of break up the songs, and there's some instrument and definitely more composition with the orchestra, and yeah, the guitar. I mean, the guitar is all over that stuff too.
Yeah.
So trying to paint that picture, like you said,
Yeah.
and just still move things along. And I love that stuff too. I mean, again, it's like I love all the film music. John Williams, he's like, you know, my favorite guy. And I think even when I was a kid, it was just like a part. It had a big impact on me. I think all those kind of films with that big music and you know, the big soaring strings and the mean brass and all that stuff. So as years went on, it's like, okay, I studied more and listening to a lot more different kind of classical stuff. And you know, maybe when I was young, I wouldn't really care to listen to Stravinsky, The Rite of Spring or something. But now it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm studying the hell out of it and then trying to incorporate that, you know, with the metal stuff. So it's stuff that I love to do. So just try to make it work.
A lot of guitar players who do instrumental parts like you did, or albums, the guitar is the main focus. But in those instrumental parts, it's a component. It's not really the main focus. You're trying to convey, like I said, that story. Do you have to tell yourself to push back a little bit and say, you know what, the guitar player wants to crank, but I know what's best for the team and the song, so I'm going to pull back on that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there might be a little here and there.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, if there's a guitar in there, there's usually something going on. But it is part of the whole thing. And then, you know, I'll just think it's like, all right, you know, I just have to do what's right. And all the other songs, you know, have all these solos, and the guitar is the feature of a lot of things. So it's just like breaking it up. It's like, okay, you know, here's this song Hybrids, and then there's this extended solo, and it's just kind of going for it. And that's cool. And there's really not too much orchestration or anything, you know, whatever little needs to be there. And then you get to like Mothership or one of those things, and it's like, okay, here's this, I don't know, cinematic kind of little interlude-y thing, and the guitar's in there, and it's doing some things, and there may be some melodic things, and you know, and then it works, and then the next song is like, okay, here we go, and in fact, you know, there's guitar stuff, so it's a balancing thing.
Do you spend a lot of, well, I shouldn't say spend a lot of time, but do you do a lot of improv in your solos when you're recording, or do you work it out note for note?
Not note for note. My normal thing is just, you know, I'll put the track up, I'll dial in a guitar sound that's comfortable and cool, and I'll just hit record. I'll hit record, do a take, you know, listen back, and it's like, okay, because I think that first thing, the idea of your first, you know, gut instinct is usually pretty close. For me, it's pretty close. And then sometimes you get that one where you get really lucky, like that 1 in a million, where it's like, oh shit, that's the one. Don't touch it. That's rare. No, that's totally rare. So like, yeah, I'll do a pass, and I'll listen back, and it's like, oh, I like how I started it with this bend. The middle's good, and then the end, it's like, oh man, something more needs to happen, or needs to go up, or maybe I need a whammy pedal to really go up an octave and something. And then I'll do another pass, and I'll refine those ideas, and then I'll just do a couple till I have, you know, have the one that's like, okay, yeah, that's it, you know. And then I'll double it. And then I'll double it, because I'm a clown.
I get the spontaneity. That's important, you know, particularly if you're going to improvise. You know, that first one is the one that's the first thought. My favorite song was Divide and Conquer. Can you tell me a little bit about the history on that song, or give us an insight into it?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the you know, one of the old original ones that I put aside. And I remember having trouble with that one to put it aside because I'm like, oh man, this is like cool riff. The guitar's got a cool thing going on, and the chorus was strong. But I was like, okay, I mean, I can't put all the better that I think is better on one or the other. It's like I really have to be, um, you know, equal amounts for each one. So that was one of the ones I put aside that I didn't want to, but I'm happy I did. Yeah, and again, like you know, it starts out with the first track. You know, after the little introduction thing, that first track, and yeah, it's up tempo, and the guitar's got the cool rhythm syncopated thing, and uh, again the chorus, and then the solo's got a little something going on. You know, a perfect example. You know, it's like working out an idea or just improvising for the solo,
Mhm.
and then at the end, it's like, oh, you know, maybe it needs a whammy or maybe it needs this. So again, it's just yeah, one of those songs was like, yeah, this is cool.
I think the whole album's great. I think that song is fantastic too. You know, and I want to be respectful to your time. Was there ever a moment in your career when your faith in playing guitar was a little bit shaken? Because you're a tremendous player.
No, thanks, dude. Ah, man, not really. I
No,
mean,
that's great.
no, I mean, not that I could think of.
Not a band
No,
breaking up or getting a
no,
label, nothing.
no.
So
I
you really
mean,
never had a plan B as far as if the guitar playing didn't work out.
oh no, there's no plan B, bro. This is it. This is fucking it. Um, no, but the thing that is good though, I mean, yeah, I mean the band, you know, moving forward, moving ahead, everything's cool. I mean, I'm down here a lot, and I'm either writing or I'm playing, so yeah, I just feel good about music in general. Right now, it's a little tough because we're working on a Symphony X record, trying to get the ball moving. And
Yeah.
I just think from all this downtime and no playing together, we haven't been around each other, and the whole process is like really slow. I'm on, to be honest, I'm kind of having a kind of tough time just to get that initial idea rolling. You
Yeah.
know, I'm still looking for it, and yeah, it's just from just the way things were, you know. But it will be fine. But there
Oh
was
yeah.
never a time where it's like, oh no, what am I gonna do now? I mean, every day, if you're a musician, that's kind of the thing. What am I going to do now? but but no, but luckily it's like, yeah, things with the band are cool, and like, yeah, I could do these solo records, and that's cool. And I've
That's
actually
awesome.
just done some scoring for films and you know low budget horror and um, just different arranging for people and doing some of this other compositional stuff. So I mean, there's always something, you know,
Can
there's
you
always
can you say what
something.
films you've scored so we could, keep an eye out for them?
The one that's released, it was a couple of years. I was like, maybe it was when did that come out? 2018. It was 100 Acres of Hell. So, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's actually some Jersey guys, you know, and they were doing their old school 80s horror thing, and it
Okay.
was fun, you know. I mean, it's you know, it's kind of it's low budget, but great guys, and I had fun, and I never really actually did that before, so there was a big learning curve about timing and sync points and a lot of these
Mhm.
things that you know, doing this stuff you don't know.
Right,
But
right.
that's what I'm saying. There's always other stuff with music that's out there.
Cool. Well, I love the CD and I wish you the best with it.
No, thanks,
Any
brother.
plans to ever tour with it, or it's just more for yourself and people to enjoy?
I mean, yeah, I mean, if the right kind of circumstance happened, I mean, it could be a thing. The one hard thing about that is that like if we're working on a Symphony X record, and we learn this on the Odyssey, I think,
Hmm.
because there's all this orchestration and there's all this stuff going on, and then you have to do it live. You know, we have to do it live. So I remember us at practice. It's like, oh, maybe I'll do this part, and you know, Pinella was gonna, you know, you're trying to restructure it to make it work. But with like the solo record, it's like, yeah, man, there could be so much stuff. I mean, there's a guitar and it doubles a synth, and then there's a rhythm, and then there's these clean strats in the background, and then there's a saz, and then you know, there's all this shit going on, which is cool because it's like, yeah, I want to hear what I hear, and not thinking about the limits, not the limits, but just being aware of not to
Yeah, I'm
overdo
with
it.
it.
So overdoing it is okay on this kind of thing.
Cool, cool. Well, listen, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time. It was a fascinating interview. I love
Yeah,
the
man.
CD, and thank you for
Thanks,
your
dude.
time. It's really a
No, thank
pleasure to
you,
speak
man.
with you. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll
man.
run into you down the shore one day.
Yeah, dude, or friggin', I'm like right here. Come by. I'll friggin', do a little barbecue in the backyard here.
That'd
Shit.
be awesome. I'll bring
Couple
some of my
beers.
guitars. You can check them out too.
All right, yeah, dude. I got a couple here too, so we'll
Yeah,
be good,
one or
man.
two.
Yeah, just a few.
It looks like my closet. Joking with my wife sometimes, I say, you put one or two in there. Next thing you know, they multiply. I don't know how. I don't know where they came from.
Yeah,
I don't know
same
how I
thing.
got that many.
Yeah, the same thing here, man. It's like there's a couple, and then another year later, it's like I have to get more stands because then there's more.
Yes.
But that's
Well,
hey, man. This is what we do. That's the fun stuff,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely, I'll see you hopefully down there someday, and we'll have a beer too.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely, man. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's get back to some normal stuff, man. Hanging
agree.
out, shows, and the whole thing, man. Yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you again. Have a great day.
Yeah. You too, man. Thanks, dude.
Bye bye.